And so we're going to have the live cultural presentation here at the Heritage Center.
Good morning and welcome to the Alaska Native Heritage Center. My name is Margaret Akutaq. I was born in Nome. My grandfather is from Big Dimeed, Pete Akutaq, and that's where we get our family name. Ooh. I was 5 when we moved to the village of St. Michael. When we arrived there, we moved into an extended family of about 21 people, including all the grandparents, the parents, the children, aunts and uncles and cousins, and in-laws and some adoptees. We practiced subsistence way of life for spring, summer, fall, and winter. And during those times, one of the seasons in the later summer would be berry picking time. And I remember going to a berry camp. We walked on North Beach of the Bering Sea at St. Michael Island. And when we arrived at the camp, there were 3 tents that were set up to accommodate all our family members. And the next morning, my mom said to me, "Get your rubber boots on, your kaspakan. We're going berry picking with Aka." And Aka means grandmother. So my mother, my grandmother, and I, we headed out away from the tent, and there was a small lake, much like that one we have here at the Native Heritage Center. And Aka went to the right, my mom and I went to the left, and it was cranberry picking time and blackberries. And so we're picking berries, and I look across the lake, and I said, "Mom," I'm about 6 years old, "Mom, look, there's a mama bear and 2 baby bears." My mom's face got very fearful. She grabbed my hand and said, "We have to run back to the tent." And she grabbed my hand and we start running towards the tent, and I said, "Wait, I have to tell Aka." And so I go, "Aka, look at those bears! Aka, look at those bears!" And seems like when I said that and looked at the mama bear, like she looked at me and said, and she started going around the lake towards us. So my mom was practically dragging me over the tundra. And you know, tundra is lumpy and soft. And shortly after that, when I looked at Aka, she had already made a fire that fast. And the mama bear saw the smoke and said, "Oh no, bye," and went the other way. So now you know what to do. Okay. So we picked cranberries and blackberries. And our village of St. Michael had a reindeer herd. And of course, the reindeer has, right under its fur, has a very firm fat. And so that fat would be taken and cut into little chunks and then mashed and then whipped into something very, very smooth. Something smooth like today, we're going to replace some of the ingredients, and instead of having reindeer fat, we have 3 flavors of yogurt. And I like to use yogurt because they say it's healthy. And adding to that, we will have mashed bananas. These mashed bananas give it a kind of consistency like the fat of the reindeer. And so that goes in there. And that's mixed. The cranberries are very, very tart. And oftentimes those making Akutaq, which is the berry mixture, use sugar. I don't like sugar. I like honey. And honey is healthy. So I'll put some honey in here to sweeten the cranberries. So we mix that very well with the yogurt and the banana smoothed. And it looks very much like reindeer fat. And also, most of the older folks like to add like a couple teaspoons of seal oil. Seal oil comes from the fat of the seal. Right under its fur, there's the seal blubber. We take that and cut it into strips, place it into a container, and the oil seeps out. That oil is a high nutritional value of omega-3 oil. And it's very energizing. The men often take seal oil out with them when they go out on the ice or on the tundra in the winter months to go check their traps or when they're hunting. And I have felt at times when I had seal oil, I could feel the energy in my body. It literally warmed up my body. It felt so good and so energizing. So persons can, if they'd like, add some seal oil to this mixture. The other thing in our area sometimes used is white fish. The fish is boiled, the bones removed, and then we squeeze it very, very tight so the moisture is not there anymore. And we have flakes of fish that we add to this mixture. And those flakes of fish, of course, are protein, very healthy. Okay, our berry mixture here usually is cranberry and blackberry in the month of September. However, we have these wonderful berries, strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries from Costco. So we use what we have here in town and mix this up. And this Akutaq is usually served, especially on birthdays. And this is very appropriate. Guess whose birthday it is tomorrow? Mine. So this is just wonderful. Keep mixing till all the ingredients are well mixed in the whole bowl of all these ingredients. Other kinds of berries we have usually on the tundra are salmonberry, which looks like a raspberry, but it's salmon colored. And of course, everybody knows the blueberry. And I've been reading in health recipes that blueberries are very, very rich nutritionally to keep our bodies very healthy. In fact, all the berries are very healthy. We have so much sunlight, almost 24 hours some days, that the berries are very potent. So I notice that when I get blueberries, over at Costco or Safeway or Cars or Fred Meyer's, their blueberries are very bland. But here in Anchorage, right above the tree line of the mountains, there's tundra and blueberries do grow there. And they're naturally wild. And all our food has been for thousands of years naturally wild. From the environment, from the sea, and from the lakes and the rivers, the fish, and from the land, the berries. And sometimes a certain kind of green called sourdough is chopped up and added to this mixture. So that would give us the green content that is also necessary for good nutrition. So the Akutuk, English calls it Eskimo ice cream because it's usually quite cold and almost frozen. And I believe the mixture is done. And the Akutaq throughout the state of Alaska with all the different cultures varies in our recipes, determined by the environment and the terrain. And in the southeast, for example, they have high bush berries. Our berries on the tundra are down, way down there. And we usually have to sit in a section and pick berries. But those people in the area where they have high bush berries, they stand and they have a bucket here and they fill them like that. We on the tundra get down low and pick at the tundra level. So if there's some of you who'd like to try this, I would love to serve this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marge. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. Believe it or not, I will be 3/4 of a century young. So here you go. There's your bowl and there are the spoons.
So for those of you who have your cultural packets, you'll have Marge's Akutaq recipe in your cultural packets. And we have also, I got the PDF, so I'll be loading it to this site so you can have a copy of her recipe as well. I think it's good timing because it's about lunchtime here, so we're all going to be a little bit hungry watching all those berries and fish and all of the goodness that goes in there. So interestingly enough, you know, we treat this as a treat and a delicacy, but it's super rich. We have this similar type of recipe throughout the state where we use it for high nutrition, high density nutrition at certain periods of time. And as you know, Alaska, before the climate change, we used to have about 9 months of winter. And so in high winter seasons, when you're outside working in the cold, especially if you have dog sled teams or if you're doing any, you know, strenuous physical work, then you're going to need high caloric intakes. And so when you have high caloric intake, you're going to need at least, you know, 3,000 to 6,000 calories a day to burn when you're working in sub-zero temperatures and doing that strenuous labor. So not only is it used for those times, our seal oil actually increases your metabolism. So your internal burners work harder and you create more heat, so it keeps you warmer. So it's not only the type of calories, or it's not only calories in itself as a number, but it's the type of calories. So these high-grade marine oils actually burn differently in your system and make you healthier for it. In Southeast, when we go into seclusion and you have long-term fasting, we have a similar recipe that's made out of blueberries and seal grease and dried salmon, and you would eat that every 5 days to sustain yourself through those periods of time.